ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतो वन्दे भगवन्तो पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। उकारस्त्वन्दकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरु इत्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You can chant the first verse with me, page 12. Vedo nityamadiyatam taduditam karma swanushthiyatam tene shasya vidhiyatam apachitihi kamye matistyajyatam papo paridhuyatam bhavasukhe dosho nusandhiyatam आत्मेच्छाप्यवसीयतां निजगृहात् तूर्णं विनिर्गम्यताम्. You can repeat after me. Sangat satsu vidhiyatam bhagavatah. Sangat satsu vidhiyatam bhagavatah. Bhaktir dridhadhiyatam. Bhaktir dridhadhiyatam. Shantyadif parichiyatam dridhataram. Shantyadif parichiyatam dridhataram. Karmashu santyajyatam. Karmashu santyajyatam. Sadvidvanupasripyatam pratidinam. Sadvidvanupasripyatam pratidinam. Tatpaduka sevyatam. Tatpaduka sevyatam. Brahmaikaksharamardhyatam Shrutishiro vakyam samakarnyatam. Brahmaikaksharamardhyatam Shrutishiro vakyam samakarnyatam. So far we've seen that the sadhanas that we are using, mainly we focused on karma yoga, and in some other ways viveka and some vairagya. That we are developing our bhakti, our devotion to the Lord, and may that purify us from raga dvesha. May we have viveka in that may we analyze the limitations of worldly pleasures. And vairagya in that may we let go of that which does not serve us. Of course, there's more to that, but simply we can say that much, that these are the sadhanas that will help us grow so that they will help us discern what is important in our life. I spend all my time looking for happiness out in the world. right? I spent all my time trying to fulfill and fill in this sense of lack that I have. Shivam, I've never said to myself that I'm a lacking person, right? We never use those words. But the expression that we have shows that. I'm so hungry for more. I'm so hungry for more experiences. I want to go to this country, right? So I have this bucket list of travel. And then I want to go to all these places to have all these experiences. I want to do more and more because somehow I don't feel relaxed. Somaniji, we were talking about how it's so hard to be with yourself. So hard to be with yourself. And what that is, why we can't be with ourselves, is because there's that sense, there's something that's nudging us, that we're lacking something, that we're not complete as we are. So that sense motivates us to keep going out in the world and get more. And so, knowing that, I want to be free from that burning sense of lack within me. My whole life, I've been seeking that cessation of that sense through experiences. If I get a bowl of ice cream, I will be okay for a few minutes. If I get a giant laddu, I will be happy. If I watch a movie, I'll be distracted from that sense of lack for 2 hours. If I go on this vacation, I'll be distracted for that sense of lack for a week. But then it comes back. And so, knowing that I want to seek and remove that sense of lack directly, I want to understand that which has no lack. And I've learned in the spiritual air, I've heard that there's something called Brahman, or there's something called Atma, which is supposedly already with me, and that is complete. And so I approach a teacher, Sadvidvan upasripyatam. I approach a teacher in the search of that which will free me from this sense of limitation. And when I meet them, tat paduka sevyatam. I serve, sevyatam should be served. What should be served? Tat paduka, the sandals, paduka, of, of the guru, of the teacher. You know what's funny about this? Is that the teacher has to say, serve the teacher. It seems like some sort of gurudom in some way that the teacher is saying, serve me. But no, the Shastra is saying, in the Gita, tadvidhi pratipatena pariprashnena sevaya upatekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Chapter 4. It says, if you want to know this truth, there's three things to do. There's always three things in Vedanta, right? Three things. Pranipata, do namaskar. This is also indicated in serve the sandals of the teacher. Namaskar. We fall at the feet of the teacher. Why do we do that? One of the things why we do that is that our head can represent our ego and our sense of pride. And we bring that to the lowest part of the teacher. We show that I'm letting go of my ego, I'm letting go of, and I'm showing my humility by being at your feet. Another way of looking at that is the feet of the teacher, the head of the teacher rather, is the embodiment of knowledge. And that is out of reach. That knowledge, this vision that I am complete and whole, is out of reach for me right now. And so I meet the teacher at the feet, that which is approachable to me. And I show my readiness that I show my readiness to the teacher that I'm ready to learn and that may I come to your head. This Seva Bhava is so important. We saw the stories of in the Upanishad that when you go and approach this teacher, what do they say? Go go take my cows and come back when they are 1,000. We see this in the Upanishad that is emphasized, do Guru Seva, do Guru Seva. Why? For the Guru's sake? No. Why? Why? Because the Guru already knows they're complete and whole. They don't need you to be whole and complete. It's for our sake that we serve. Because, first of all, I become more humble, as I was saying. But another thing is that we, especially in a smaller setting, when we're with the teacher, we also get tuned up by the teacher. In our interactions with them, we see how do they live and act in the world. Arjuna also, he asks, how does the jnani walk, talk, sit? The seva is the opportunity to be around them to see how do they walk, talk, sit. Because this is how Vedanta is brought into daily life, and you get to be around that. When I was picking up Swaminiji from the airport, she was telling me, we just finished the 3-month course today, and I got on a flight at 3 a.m., and I got here. And I said, Swamiji, we're really not giving you a break. And she said, and then after the camp, I'll go to Eugene, and then Orlando to Bahamas, and then we start the next course. There's, I think, one more place in between. Atlanta. Important. And I said, Swamiji, how do you manage all the different time zones and your energy? And she says, it's mind over matter. And if you don't mind, it doesn't matter. These little things, when you're with the Guru, it sounds so nice, but it has such an impact when you see that live. And so we do the seva so that we can be with the Guru. Also, the Guru can notice our ways of being as well. And if we are in a relationship, they can guide us accordingly. So it's important to ask your teacher that if you notice anything, please guide me. Please tell me. But generally the Puja Swamiji's way, and then that carries on to our teachers, they'll say, you're okay as you are. But please. But we still ask the teacher to guide us. If you notice anything that will help me grow, please tell me. You have to say that because they won't say anything because you're fine. because we've asked, they may guide us. This Another thing with the paduka, why do they say sandals and not just say the feet of the teacher? It's amazing our Shastra, they analyze everything. They say that paduka can also reference indirect service. That if we can't serve the feet, we serve the sandals of the feet. Meaning that at times we may not have access to a teacher every day. Even if we're in access to a teacher, we might not have the opportunity to serve them directly. We go to the Gurukulam, and we may not be the one who's fortunate enough to be with the teacher and serve, for example. And so we serve that which supports the teacher. We serve the institution or the Gurukulam or that which is the structure for their teaching. We serve by giving our time to the institution, giving what we can in terms of wealth, giving in terms of time to support. So I'm so heartened by the way that many of you are serving through facilitating online things like WhatsApp groups and email groups and being the subject of transference towards administrators on WhatsApp groups. But also of the way that if I can't serve, then at least I can help with getting the food ready, or I can get the room ready, right? And that's the idea. They're so confident. So in that verse that I quoted earlier, it says that if you serve in that way, the teacher will give you this knowledge. Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina. They will teach you this knowledge because they'll know that you're ready for this. So pranipata, seva we talk about, but pariprashna also. That this will come, but we also ask questions and get clarity in our knowledge. And so that's where having access to a teacher where we can ask questions is really important. And it says, when should we do this? Pratidinam. Pratidinam. Daily. Dinam, prati. Prati means it's a repetition. So dinam, dinam. Means if I say day, day, means every day. So every day we should serve the teacher. And again, this is because they couldn't imagine that we would be learning through Zoom Kulam. Right? They only imagined that we would be sitting in the front of our teacher, and so we're serving them every day. But now there's people in a different country listening, right? Or we're somewhere else and the teacher's in a different country. So that daily meant, right? Because you're there, but now it's not the case, right? And so Lakshanaya, when we can, we serve. But also, may we have contact with this teaching regularly, whether it's in person or not. So that sort of daily. The next one, 7, Brahmaikaksharamardhyatam. Yeah, Brahmaikaksharamardhyatam. Brahmaikaksharam, one word, Arthyatam, separate word. Arthyatam should be asked for. Should be asked for. What should be asked for? This Brahman, which is Eka, which is non-dual, and Akshara, imperishable. That which does not perish. Naksharati iti akshara, that which does not perish. So may I ask for this imperishable, non-dual Brahman? They have to say this because when we go to a guru, the first thing we fall in love with is the person. Right? That's what often we fall in love with the person that is there. And we're infatuated by how they walk, how they talk, how they sit, the jokes. Puja Swamiji was a Vedanta teacher number one, maybe music teacher number two, but a comedian number three. Just the level of humor and the timing of the humor was impeccable. Even Swamiji, her puns are unmatched. And so we fall in love with the person. And that's beautiful because that's what initially motivates us to study. You want to be around them. You want to be in their presence. You want to hang out. When we said no satsang, people send emojis of crying faces, right? Because they want to hang out with Swamiji. But we have to go and the teacher will take us there. They'll take us from the person to the teaching. And so we don't get stuck with the person. This is what happens in many institutions, in many gurus in India, everywhere, not just in India. That it becomes about them and their personality, and they never allow the transference to go to the teaching. And so first it's through the person, and then the person becomes an embodiment of the teaching. It's not about the person anymore. It's about the teaching. So why am I saying that all that? Because we can go to this person, we can ask about when should I get married? Can you find someone for my child? I've heard these things people ask Swamiji this week. That's why. Can you tell me, right, should I buy this house? Or what should I do with my retirement? And out of their compassion, they'll answer us. Oh, I'm dealing with this problem in my family. What do I do? This is 90% of time in those private rooms with the Acharya. I'm dealing with this health issue. What should I do? There's this dosha in my chart. What should I do? Beautiful. Nothing. No problem with that. The guru will guide us. But make sure you ask for the blessed thing you came for. You came to be free. You came to own up your nature, and make sure you ask for that and get that. When Arjuna, in the whole first chapter, he's just a basket case, right? He's just not coping with this idea. And he keeps talking, and Sri Krishna just doesn't say anything. Finally, he says, Shishyasteham shadimam tuam prapannam. And then Tushnim Babuba, he becomes quiet. He says, I surrender to you. I am your student. This is what we're talking about. I am your student, and what I'm asking for is that reality, that vision which has no division. And I want that thing which is akshara doesn't go away. So give me that thing which does not go away and which is that vision of oneness. There's a story here of the story of Murari. Do you know the story of Murari? Okay. There was this Advaita Guru, this teacher of Vedanta, and a student comes to him. And he says, Guruji, I've heard that you have something great to teach me. Please tell me what is that great thing? And he says, simply, you and Ishvara are one and the same. And the teacher was silent. Seeing the silence, the student thought he was done, so he walked out of the room. And he thought, that doesn't feel right. I can't be that Ishvara which I pray to. Ishvara is all knowledge, all powerful, is what we say omniscient and omnipotent. I can hardly spell omniscient. How can I be all knowledgeable? I don't even really know what omnipotent is. I just quote it because that's what they say. So this guru seems like uh, third rate guru. I don't know about that. So he goes to the neighboring ashram because in Rishikesh, this is what you do. You just go to the next ashram, and there was a Dvaita guru. And he says, the vision of the Shastra is that you and Ishvara are separate and you serve that Bhagavan. And at maximum, tasya tvam asi. You belong to that Ishvara. But absolutely, you're right that that teacher was wrong. You were never one with Ishvara. He says, yeah, that feels right. So he served that teacher. He learned all that is to be said in the Shastra. He learned Sanskrit. He studied with them. For 12 years, he stayed with them. And after 12 years, he remembered, now I have enough knowledge. I'm going to go debate the first teacher, the Advaita Guru. Around that time, that Advaita Guru, the teacher of Vedanta, for 12 years, he's gotten a little bit old and hadn't shaved his beard for 12 years. So you can imagine, just a big beard, and it was becoming uncomfortable. So he went to the barber whose name was Murari. And that's the time that this student came to ask him for a debate while he was getting a shave. And he says, Guru, I have a question to ask you. And he said, wait, let the shave at least be finished. Have that much respect. So he's shaving this beard, Murari shaving, they have this straight razor in India. They're just shaving and cleaning it up. And the guru looked completely different. He looked so different. And he tells Murari that the guru tells Murari that, I just see so much tejas on my face. I'm shining. I look so, I've never seen myself look like this. You've done such a beautiful job. You've done such a great job. Murari, you are Bhagavan. You are Ishvara. This is what you've done is nothing but just beautiful. And Murari was shocked because He has no education. He has, and here the Guru was doing namaskar to him and saying, "You are my Bhagavan," and doing namaskar. And he was just floored by that idea. And he says, "No, no, no, no. I am not Bhagavan. I am nothing. I have nothing to, I am not Bhagavan." And even that student who was waiting to debate, he says, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why are you telling him that he's Bhagavan? That's not possible." And the Guru just walked out after this. A few days later, that student came to the Advaita Guru's ashram with all the fruits, samit, and he approached him and he says, "I want you to be my teacher." And he said, "Why the change? You were going to ask me to debate and you studied there with that ashram. Why the change?" And he said, "I realized that Murari, who has no education, who has never studied any Shastra, knows I am not Ishvara. I struggled for 12 years, learned Shastra, learned logic, learned Sanskrit, also to learn I am not Ishvara." So I learned what? Nothing. Nothing that this is we already born with that. You must have something to teach me that's different. In that way, we ask for that non-dual Brahman, that Brahman which is in and through all. Because there's the news. There's the samachar, right? There's the news. There's something special. And then it says, Shruti Shiro Vakyam Samakarnyatam. Samakarnyatam, right? Karna means to listen. So should be listened to very well. Should be listened to very well. What should be listened to very well? Shruti Shiro Vakyam. The Vakyam, the literally sentences, but words of Shruti Shiraha. It means Upanishad, the words of the Upanishad. But the literal meaning will say the words of the head, Shiraha, head of the Shruti, of the Veda. Now, the head of the Veda, what does that mean? If we say like, who's the head of the organization? Or who's the head of this retreat? We'll say Swaminiji is the head of this retreat. So here we see the word, we figuratively say head to mean the most important thing. The head of organization, there's no literal head floating. It's the head, it's the most important thing. So similarly, we use Shira in Sanskrit as well, that the most important part of the Veda is Vedanta, is Upanishad. Say, is it Vedanta or is it Upanishad? Upanishad means Vedanta. So should be listened, the words of the Upanishad should be listened to very well. Why I keep saying very well? Because it says some a karnyatam. Some and a are added. They mean samyak, very well, and a has the meaning of completely. And how we listen very well, the first thing we have to know is that we listen with the sense of shraddha. So when I approach the words of the Upanishad, I approach with a sense of shraddha. And shraddha gets wrongly translated as faith. Faith is fine to some extent, but we have to understand here that it's not a blind sense that we go into this. That, oh, Guruji, because you've said it, it must be so. No, no, no. The commentaries that Shankaracharya write, he's threadbare analyzing, not just saying, well, because my guru said. Shraddha means that I see the teaching, the Upanishad, and the Guru teaching that as what we call pramana. A pramana is a means of knowledge by which I know something. So just as my eyes are the pramana, the means to know that there's a blue chair in front of me, right? I can see form and color. That's the means of knowing. And we have such pramanas that will take us and allow us to know knowledge of the world. But how do I gain knowledge of not an object, but of the subject? Can I use any sense perception to know the knower of the truth of the self? No. Any sort of sense perception will take me outside. Any sort of microscope or telescope will take me outside. Any sort of MRI, CAT scan will only give me knowledge of the outside. So we need something that will reveal the nature of the self. That's where we bring in Upanishad. Upanishad acts like a mirror for me to know myself. Because no amount of meditation or experience will get me there. There is a body of knowledge which reflects, which gives me an understanding about myself. So I go to the Shastra with the sense of Shraddha, that this is a pramana. It's going to help me know the truth of myself. And you say, Shivam, how do I know it's going to work? This is like Nisha's a cornea surgeon. So she does cataracts, different eye surgeries, corneal transplants. And suppose she does a transplant and they have some sort of bandage on the eye. And the patient tells Nisha, the doctor, that, my heart is very weak. So I need you to guarantee that I'm going to see before you take off the bandage. Otherwise, I might have a heart attack. It's been an ordeal, but you need to promise me. And she'll say, I can't promise you that. Only way that you can know if you see is by opening your eyes. Similarly, how do we know the pramana works? Is by using the pramana. Is by opening our eyes. Of course, we have logic to back this up. We have certain experiences where we know that we have an experience of this. We have our teachers which embody this, and so you get a sense that this is possible. But the pramana must be operated. And so this is what it means to have Shraddha, that I've faith pending, or trust is a better word, trust pending some verification. That I have enough trust that I can gain some understanding, knowing that it will be verified at some point in time. So I have Shraddha. So, Brahmaikakshara martyatam shutishiro vakyam samakarnyatam. Once I ask for this, then I should listen to it very well. So we'll go to the next shloka. You can repeat after me. Vakyarthascha vicharyatam. Vakyarthascha vicharyatam. Shrutishirav pakshasamaashriyatam. Shrutishirav pakshasamaashriyatam. So when you have a visarga and a pakara, you get fa. Shrutishirav paksha. And then when you have a visarga and a sa, pakshassamashriyata. So Shruti pakshassamashriyata. Drustarkat suviramyatam Shruti. Drustarkat suviramyatam. Suviramyatam. Shrutimatastarkonusandhiyatam. Shrutimatastarkonusandhiyatam. Dustarkat suviramyatam. Shrutimatastarkonusandhiyatam. Dustarkat suviramyatam. Shrutimatastarkonusandhiyatam. Brahmasmiti vibhavyatam. Brahmasmiti vibhavyatam. Aharaha, aharahara, aharaha. Garvah parityajyatam. Garvah parityajyatam. Brahmasmiti vibhavyatam. Aharaha. Garvah parityajyatam. Aharaha garvah parityajyatam dehe hammatiruchyatam buddhajanaihi dehe hammatiruchyatam buddhajanaihi vadah parityajyatam vadah parityajyatam. So you notice that now we went from the secondary sadhana of chitta shuddhi, chitta naishchalya. Chitta shuddhi, purifying my mind of all strong dependence on objects, people, situations. I freed myself from that dependence. I developed concentration and focus of mind. I'm ready to study. That's why I approached the teacher. I've asked for this knowledge, right? Now that the teaching has started by the grace of Bhagavan, Vakya Tascha Vicharyatam. So this is now we're talking about Shravanam. Shravanam is the main Mukhya Sadhanam, the main sadhana for me to know my nature of the self. Because this is how the pramana operates, by Shravana. Vicharyatam should be reflected upon, should be inquired into, should be reflected upon or inquired into. What? The vakyartha. Artha, the meaning of the vakya, of the sentence. So the meaning of the sentence should be reflected upon. It's very interesting because it says meaning of the sentence. It doesn't say meaning of the sentences. Well, we can infer sentences, but here we say vakya, one sentence. Because as we'll see in the next part, all of Vedanta is revealing one sentence. What we call Mahavakya. Maha, great, Vakya, sentence. Why is it great? Because it's really long. No, it's really short. Its greatness is in the vision that it reveals, right? The impact of the sentence. So we should reflect on the Mahavakya. Jiva Brahma Aikya Bodhakam Vakyam. That this sentence is Bodhakam, it's revealing the Aikya, the oneness of Jiva and Ishvara. So what's the most popular? Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi. So this is the Mahavakya. Tvam, you. Oh, me? Yeah, you. This jaded, faded jiva. This jiva who feels that I'm small, that feels like I'm limited, that for sitting for so long, my back hurts, and the teaching is making my head hurt. And because I had too many laddus, my stomach hurts. That jiva, tvam, you, asi, are, tat, tat, Ishvara. Now, how can I be Ishvara? Me with small knowledge, small capacity, how can I be one with that who has all knowledge and all capacity? So this is why we need to reflect on what is the meaning of this sentence. Because if we take what we call vachyartha, not to be confused with vakyartha. Vachyartha means the immediate meaning of the words. The immediate meaning of the words are me, this person, 6 foot tall in Bentleyville, PA, balding. This person am Ishvara with all power and all capacity. That's the literal meaning, the vachyartha. If that's what they were saying, would that be true? No, it's not possible. I very much have limitations, right? I can hardly set up a mic stand. Very much, right? We have to know our limitations. So then we have to understand that there's a deeper meaning. We call lakshyartha. Lakshyartha is the implied meaning of each of these words. The words are packed. That when I understand that I am, when they say tvam, we have to purify. What do we mean by this word tvam? We have to tvam pada shodhana. We have to clean it up. Okay, so we start with ah, I am the body. Right? I'm this body. That's why on my driver's license I have a address. That's why I have a height. That's why I have my eye color, because this is my identification. This is who I am. Shastra comes and says, Itina, that's not you. Why? Because this body is an object. It is the object of my perception. I am very much aware and know this body as an object. I can see it. You can hear it right now. You can taste the inside of your mouth. Don't taste other things. And your neighbor will tell you that you can smell it also. Hopefully not. And so I'm very much aware, meaning that there is something which is a subject to this body that's an object. And the subject can never be the object. Okay. So I must be the mind which is aware of this body. Okay, first we'll start with the senses. I must be the senses which observe this body. Iti na. No. Why? Because their senses can be observed as well. The senses are observed, are known to me. How do you know that? You go to the eye doctor, right? And they have to show you the different slides. One or two, three or four, one and two, or three and four. And by the time you're like, I don't even know, you just choose for me. But they have to show you that you have to be. Why? Because there is something which is aware of the senses of sight. You know whether you can see or not see. And so, am I my senses? No, because there is something which is a subject to this object. There's something which knows this. I am the subject which knows the senses. So then, oh, okay, I must be the mind, right? Because the mind is aware of the senses. What do you think? Do you think that's the case? Well, you've answered my question because you know what you think, right? You said yes or no. And so that means you had a thought and you were aware of that thought. And so the mind is known as an object. I wouldn't have a profession otherwise, right? I ask you, the first thing I say is, what's on your mind? That's how we start. And then the whole Mahabharata starts. Oh, this happened to this person. I got hurt. This person, blah, 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 right? And I feel, and I'll say, and then I say, okay, how did you feel about that? These two things can take a therapist very far. What's on your mind? And how do you feel about that? Oh, but how do you feel about that? Oh, but how does that make you feel? You just keep asking. There's more to it. But but you can know how you feel, meaning that there's something that is aware of the feeling, of the emotion, of the manas. Finally, we're left with that there is a sakshi, there's a witness, there is a subject which observes all objects. Okay, but even the sakshi, it should be known, right? No, no. Whatever the final knower is, that is the sakshi. Otherwise, you end up in infinite regression. That is Tvam. Tvam is the sakshi, the one who knows the body, mind, senses, but is not limited to being the body, mind, senses. You see how now we cleaning up Tvam. Now we clean up Tat. Tat, there is an Ishvara who created this universe and was all power and all knowledge. Yeah, right? That's true to a limited extent. The status of creator only makes sense when there's a creation, right? Only when this universe is there, a creation. But what happens when the creation is unmanifest? We say before the creation happened. It's cyclical, but when it goes unmanifest, there's no creation. So the status of creator goes away because there's no creation to give it meaning. So we even drop the status of creatorship from Ishvara. knowledge and Shakti are also part of Maya. To understand that will take a little bit more time. But we understand that this Ishvaratvam, the status of creatorship, is not intrinsic to that reality. The reality of that is what we call Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That there is a reality that is of the nature of Satyam, existence. It's such a way that it won't come and go. It's always there. It's of the nature of the truth of knowledge. It's that by which everything becomes known. Jnanam. And Anantam, it's limitless. So we clean up that Ishvara, that there's some statuses that we are relational, which are not the truth of that Ishvara, and we land on what is the truth of Ishvara. So here the Tvam is consciousness, the Sakshi, which is aware, which is always there, right? There's never a time the Sakshi is not there. But Shivam, I just fell asleep in class. I was not there. But I can ask you, how was your sleep? And so there was still something there. So there's a consciousness, a Sakshi, that is aware at all times and never ceases to exist. On this side of the equation, there's Ishvara, which finally we understand as that consciousness, which is never ceases and has all knowledge. So on this side of the equation, consciousness which never ceases and which is knowledge. And this side of the equation, we have consciousness which is never ceases and is all knowledge. Tattvamasi, you are that. Whenever we feel, oh, I can't be that, it's because you come back to, I am the body, I am the mind. But how can that be so? Because you keep making a mistake about what you think you are. Vakyatascha vicharyatam. We'll continue with this verse in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. So we will not have satsang this evening. We will not have satsang this evening. That's been canceled. If we want to have optional music session, then we can come back at 8 o'clock and be here and have music.
Yes, please.
Okay. So we can have music at 8 o'clock if you want to. Otherwise, please get rest and reflection. Just another thing is that, let me